Hello, and welcome to another episode of Taylor Talks Comics Live. This is episode 10. We made it to 10 episodes. So I set up here. Sorry. Please, hold on, what is this? Is this some breaking news here? Delaying ink paper. Tiresome experience, 37 years. Whoa, that is some breaking news. I'm going to put that up on the channel today. Everybody, tell me how you're doing today. Let me know. Say hello in the chat. I just got some news about a new Chris Ware release, which is big news. Let me get my second screen. No, not that one. What? Hold on a second here. Okay. Yes. So this is Taylor Talks Comics Live, where we talk about the comic book news happening around the industry once a week. Today's episode is on Tuesday at noon. I think next week's episode will probably be a primetime episode. I think it'll be Tuesday evening, possibly. I'll get back to you on that. Stay tuned on social media, and I'll let you know when the episode airs. Speaking of social media, all my information is down below in the description. But just to let you know audibly, you can follow me on Twitter at TMTalksComics. Everywhere else, TikTok, Instagram, all that jazz, you can follow me at Taylor Talks Comics. You can email me over at TaylorTalksPodcasts@gmail.com. That's TaylorTalksPodcasts@gmail.com. If you have any show ideas, any comic book news topics, comic books you want me to cover, etc. If you want to shop for some comic books, you can shop over at Organic Price Books with promo code Taylor Talks Comics, all one word. Taylor Talks Comics, all one word. You can save $2 off your order there. But if you're going to put a bigger order in with OPB, OrganicPriceBooks.com, you can order 4 or more graphic novels or comics. Make sure you use my other code. It's going to save you bigger savings, bigger order. TTC Ship It Together, all one word. TTC Ship It Together, all one word. So that's all the preamble. What's going on in the chat, guys? Let me know how you're doing. We had a pretty big turnout last week. I had a primetime episode last week for episode 9. Today's episode is the usual time of noon Eastern. But yeah, next week will probably be primetime. I think I might alternate too. Might go back and forth. Seems like primetime was a good turnout for viewers. But I also want to, I don't want to alienate any part of my audience. So, let's go to the breaking news. How about that? That'll be fun. So this is from Drawn and Quarterly. Let me see if I can find them on here, and then I can share it. It looks like it was on their Instagram. Nope, not that one. There we go. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. Trying to see, do they share it in their Instagram stories? They did. New this October. Also in a slipcase edition. Okay. There we go. And then let's share my screen. Everyone, please light up the chat. Let me know what you've been reading lately. Let me know what comic books you're excited about. Make sure it's presenting the way I want it to. That way. All right, so this is John and Quarterly's Instagram, and they just shared this news that there will be a Acme Novelty Date Book Volume 3. After over 15 years, deferral, delay, and dawdling, the ink and paper cheerleader, FC Ware, finally succumbs to imaginary public pressure by concluding his tiresome experiment in reader trust with the third and final volume of secret notebooks and sketches spanning over 37 years of bus rides airport delays, and telephone hold music. In tandem with Chris Ware's Acme Novelty Datebook Volume 3, we are also releasing the Acme Novelty Datebook Volume 1 through 3 slipcase out this October. Where's the slipcase? I saw someone shared it. Well, it's in their stories. Maybe I can show you this way. Nope, not that way. There we go. Let's pause there and then increase the screen a little bit. I don't know if this will work. No, it's not going to. All right, you can see that the picture there is of the slipcase, which it looks to be like new artwork on the slipcase. Looks very Chris Ware-like. All three colorful spines there. Be a very nice, beautiful package there. Chris Ware only does great book design and that kind of thing. I don't know if I have. Do I have? Yes, I do actually. I have both of these. Volumes 1 and 2. Trying to see if I can find volume 1. No, this is volume 1. I can't find volume 2. Okay. So I have the first 2 that are coming out. Hey, Space Monkey and Josh, how you guys doing? This is volume 1. If you're not familiar with Chris Ware, he's like one of the most amazing cartoonists ever. The Acme Novelty Date Book. So this is a sketchbook of drawings from 1986 to 1995. Volume 2 is around here somewhere. I wasn't prepared to find this. This is, like I said, this is breaking news. But it's just really great stuff. Chris Ware, he's most famous for Rusty Brown and Jimmy Corrigan are probably his 2 most famous titles, which are amazing comics in their own right. But here you can really get to see a natural style of Chris Ware, like breaking the mold a little bit, because I actually have a lot of his Acme Novelty library releases. So like his normal style is to have a very nice and like very design oriented, very regimented like use of panels, and great use of color, but it's all like square panels, very kind of static imagery, but like I don't mean static in a negative way. I mean it's a very deliberate way, but great cartooning, great storytelling. So this is like his usual style. And these are like how they're originally, they had like odd releases, which are really fun. But then they were collected into Jimmy Corrigan and Rusty Brown. But this sketchbook gives you like an example of him just doodling around, kind of going outside of that norm of those regimented panels and whatnot. Well, there's even like full comics in here too, that he kind of just doodles in here. So it's not just like a sketchbook of just drawings and stuff. There's actually real comics in here. Notes to himself about his drawing. So just really, really cool. I didn't know there was going to be a volume 3. I didn't know there was even a possibility. Here's even Chris Ware doing Batman and Superman. That's not something you see every day. So yeah, that's awesome. Volume 3 is due out in October in the slipcase. The one thing I do hope they do, though, is I hope they release a version of that slipcase that comes with Volume 3 and then empty spots if you already own Volume 1 and 2. Because I want that slipcase, but I don't want to rebuy Volumes 1 and 2. I don't know. Maybe I could sell those again. I don't know. I'll think about it. What do you guys think? Any Chris Ware fans in the chat, though? Let's see. All right, Cycle Cleveland, it's the hey now coming in this morning at 9:21 with that comment. James Abel, hey, Cycle is in the first place. Hi, big Star Wars fan here. I just finished Star Wars The High Republic Phase 1 Omni. What a blast. Highly refreshing and most recommended. It's awesome. I've never been a big fan of Star Wars comics, but I also haven't tried a bunch. And some of that, I think that's like the Dark Horse era stuff, right, Fred? Fred, thank you for joining me, by the way. I think you're a newer viewer here. But I wonder if the Dark Horse era stuff would be something I could get into. I just don't like the readaptations of the movies and stuff. Like, I'd rather just the movies be the movies. I don't know. But I love the Star Wars universe. I would love to see, maybe read some stories in that same universe, but outside of the movies, I don't know. Fun. Hello there from Space Monkey. I flipped through his stuff, not my cup of tea. Happy it's coming out. Josh, I would implore you to try to read some of his stuff, just because I do think he's one of those cartoonists that reads better than it. I think a flip through, you can. I'm sure you can admire the craft that he's putting together, but it's really his storytelling that's really nice and innovative. He does kind of have like a mundane story sense on its surface, but just like the cartooning in the panels, and like he creates new like cartoon language throughout his panels too that you really pick up on throughout the stories. I think he reads better having read it than just flipping through a book, is what I'm trying to say. But that's fine. I mean, it's not going to be for everybody. Low Hit, have you ever read any Star Wars, Taylor? Low Hit, thank you for joining me. Star Wars comics, I've read. Most recently, I've read the Droids and Ewoks comic, which was an adaptation of the Saturday morning cartoon. I read that with my son a couple years ago. But actual Star Wars comics, like true, I remember I had the Star Wars UK omnibus, which had some early Alan Moore stories in there. And I read that. It was okay. But modern era Star Wars stuff, I've not read, and I don't know. I need to try something out. And I think like I know the Kieran Gillen, Greg Pak, like Darth Vader stuff gets a lot of praise. Like that stuff might interest me a little bit. I think the Jason Aaron Marvel Star Wars run didn't appeal to me when it first was coming out, because Greg Land's artwork, it just looked like he was just taking scans from the movie and putting them in there, and it just wasn't my thing. Try Darth Vader and Crimson Empire. Is that one story, Darth Vader and Crimson, or are those two different stories? And where can I find those? I need that information. I'm willing to try Star Wars comics. It just, and with that said, I like the movies just fine. I'm not a Star Wars hater by any means, but I never was the biggest Star Wars movie fan either. Like the original trilogy is great. I think it's one of the best trilogies ever. It'd probably be in my top 5. But the prequel movies, I didn't like 1 or 2. Episode 3, I think, is underrated. I think that one's actually really good. So I don't know. I'm not a Star Wars diehard, but I would like to try some. And I do love comics, so maybe Star Wars in comic form will appeal to me if I give it the right shot. I'm willing to admit that I haven't given it the best shot. If someone was going to try Chris Ware, I would either pick up Jimmy Corrigan or Rusty Brown. One of those two collections, because that's going to give you a complete story. And you can find those for cheap. Like you can find those used anywhere. Like whatever. I think it might have been Pantheon was a publisher of those. I don't know if I do have Rusty Brown. Here's Rusty Brown. It's like this landscape format. Who's a publisher? Pantheon. Whoever they were, they must have printed, like, have a huge print run, because you can find them anywhere for really cheap. But the dust jacket too, like Chris Ware's a master of design and like graphic design, and I guess he like, it's always said that he goes to like the printers in China and will like make sure that the color is going to be printed exactly the way he wants and demands. But this thing like folds out too. Can't really show that on camera really good. I'm going to try. And even has double-sided. Yeah. This is turning the Chris Ware show, and I don't mind it. But then underneath the dust jacket, it looks like this. So Rusty Brown was serialized through his Acme Novelty comics, just like Jimmy Corrigan was. So if you get the single issues like this, which again, these are like masters of design too. Like this one has like some hollow foil on him. He's more than just a cartoonist, and some of them are pretty thick. But he serializes these stories throughout here, and then he chops them all up and puts them into a collection, like Rusty Brown, which is a pretty hefty book in its own right. And yeah, just great stuff. But he's a cartoonist that does a lot of different things that I really appreciate, like building stories. I'm just going to turn this into the Chris Ware Show. Building stories with this book, this comic book collection that came into this box, much like you'd think like a board game would come into this box. And when you open it up, like the inside of the box is all, well, not that side, sorry. It has, I think it's like 17 different comics. So all different size books and formats in here within this box. One of them's like a pamphlet, like a Chick Track. One of them's a hardcover. One of them's like a broadsheet you unfold. I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. I can't get it. Yeah, this giant broadsheet you unfold like a giant newspaper. And here's a board, like it's a board game. But the idea of building stories is that you can read all these stories in any order and then kind of get a different experience from it. So like the story is of one building and all the things happening in the lives of the people that live in this one building, like an apartment building. But as you're reading it, you're literally building a story. So it's like a little double entendre there. So that one's really cool. I do recommend buying that one brand new though, because of the way it's designed with all those comics within comics and stuff in a box. I bought mine used, and some of the comics on the inside were just totally trashed. And I bought it used, but on the image on eBay, it looked sealed, and the person had shrink wrapped it again. I don't know. It's kind of shady. But the on the comics on the inside were like some of them like wrinkled and damaged. So I messaged the people, and they actually gave me a full refund and let me keep it. So I got it for free. And then there's Monograph, which I think is my tallest book ever. I don't know if I showed. Let me know if you want to show it off. I'll show that one off too. But Monograph by Chris Ware is like, it's only $40. It's super cheap, maybe $30. But it's this massive book, and it's a monograph of his career. So it tells all about his career and his upbringing. But all throughout it, you see artwork and different comics within it, and you get to see some of the other stuff he does, which he like makes like full like models, like 3D models, or like toys and stuff that he makes in his free time. It's really cool. But Chris Ware is amazing. Thank you for divulging and letting me show off a little bit of that. Maybe that should be a video. I show all my Chris Ware books. There's an idea. Maybe I'll do that video this week. You guys got a little preview of it. Crimson Empire Epic Collection Dark Horse. Oh, it's an Epic Collection. That's spicy. I like that idea because it's cheap or cheaper as long as it's in print. And I can get it in one and done. Is the whole Crimson Empire story in one volume or multiple volumes? Let me know. Volume 2, Vader, 2 Omnis available, Gillen and Soul. That's who it is, Gillen and Soul. Also wonder if those are still in print. I'll have to look. Where's Cycle? He's dropping the ball. I know. He like fell asleep this morning or something. Probably out cycling. Or waking and baking. Maybe both. The one time we need him. Is he because he's a Chris Ware fan? Rick Ray, thank you for joining me. Taylor, if you're into comic strips, the Star Wars newspaper strips might be for you. Those were a ton of fun, and Marvel has collected most of the dailies and the Sundays in Epic Collection format. That is something I wanted to try, because I think, does Al Williamson do some of those strips? I love Al Williamson. I actually have one of his EC collections right now that I'm reading this month. I up there next to my bed for reading. I think he did some. I know he did some of the early Star Wars stuff, but I think he did some dailies. I love the different shapes and sizes of Acme Novelty Library. Issue number 7 is bigger than an absolute. I know. I only have a stack of them. I found these used in a shop like years ago. Oh, geez. Let's unplug my computer. Try not to make a mess here. I think it's a Half Price Books a few years ago. I found all these, and they were like $1 each. So I picked them all up, and I kind of want to collect all of them. I wonder how many volumes there are, because I haven't even gone through and actually looked at which volumes I'm missing now. So I know this isn't it, because I have all the ones that are this exact format, and like Rick Ray's saying, like they're all different shapes and sizes. Because again, Chris Ware likes to experiment with like book design and all the different design ideas. Because see, like this one isn't even a volume. This is spring 2000, and it says Acme Novelty budget. So I don't even think this is like actually officially a Acme Novelty Library volume. So I need to look at what I have and then see what else I need to track down. But yeah, there is one that's like bigger than an absolute. Like really, really cool that he does that. That should be a video. You're passionate and I need info. Done. Comic Crack, how you doing? Morning. Been a while since I've been able to catch you live. It's true. It's been a while since I've seen you. Yep, Al Williamson did a bunch of the dailies. That's incentive enough for me to try out those dailies. I think did a Library of American Comics put out like nice hardcovers of those same dailies too? I just don't know. Or I guess a follow-up question is reading them in the Epic collection fine? Like, is it a nice format? Because that seems like a weird way to read daily comic strips in an Epic collection. But I assume they printed them landscape, so you just like open it lengthways. Like, how do they print them in there? But Al Williamson being an artist is incentive enough for me to try it out. Crimson Empire is all available in one Epic collection. It's about the Red Emperor Guard, Kir Kanos, in a story post-Return of the Jedi. No need to know much before diving in. Check it out. Well, let me see if it's in print. I might add it to my list a little bit. I know I've recommended to you a lot of comics that you've ended up reading, so I feel like I owe you one. Star Wars Epic. No. That one doesn't have a title on it, right? Original Marvel years. I don't see one for the Crimson Empire. Let me go a step further and search for it here. If anybody knows in the chat, you can just let me know too. Well, I know this is like riveting radio, as they would say. Yeah, Space Monkey. I know there's 2 Al Williamson artist editions. There's 2. I know there's at least one of his Star Wars artwork, which, again, being an Al Williamson fan, I want that artist edition just because it's freaking Al Williamson. So it looks like there's 2 collections of the newspaper strips. Crimson Empire. Is that Old Republic? No, it's not. Menace Revealed. Clone Wars, Empire. Empire, the Rebellion. I don't even know how they organize these. That's how like out of touch I am with Star Wars comics. Like I know all about the Epic collections for the Marvel line, but these Star Wars ones I'm looking at and I'm like, I have no idea what any of these lines mean. Oh, Crimson Empire, there it is. Volume 6 of the New Republic Star Wars Epic collection line. Oh, Lohit beat me to it. Dang it. I was trying to beat you. It's New Republic Volume 6 Epic Collection containing Crimson Empire. All right. Well, then let me go to here. Because some of these retailers don't have these Epic Collections labeled really nicely. Volume 1. New Republic there. That one doesn't have a volume number on it. X Squadron. Yeah, I don't think I can find it in any of the main retailers. Is the title of it Crimson? Yeah, it is. Okay. So volume 6, it's called Crimson Empire. Why don't I just check eBay? That'd be a good indication if it's in print or not, right? Star Wars, Crimson Empire, Epic. There's a Dark Horse trade paperback of it for $15.99 on eBay. I don't see any Epic collection. I don't know. I'm probably losing the audience now. But it looks like it's out of print. From what I can tell. Maybe I'll have to read it digitally. Who knows? All right, so that was boring. Sorry for that. Check the chat. James and me answered. Oh, James answered too? Oh, there it is. Yes, volume 6. James Abel, how does it feel to not be able to post a link? Dang it, I still need to do that. I need to make James a moderator. Thanks for reminding me. Like a day off. James, the super producer, is taking a day off. It's got a red dude with a black blade on the cover. Space Monkey, if anyone knows any good Al Williamson collections, except the SC library you mentioned, I'm assuming you mean EC, available, please let me know. Missed out on the Al Williamson Strange World. Oh, I have that. I think. Do you mean this one, Space Monkey? Maybe I'll move my microphone here. Al Williamson Adventures, this hardcover. This is actually a gift given to me from Just Bragg, the Omni Dog. Yes, Space Monkey is looking for this one. Yeah, Just Bragg, he hit me up and said, "Hey, I'm sure you like Al Williamson, don't you?" And I said, "Absolutely." And he said, "Well, I'm going to send you this book because I think you'd appreciate it." And it's amazing. Al Williamson's artwork is just brilliant. Maybe I should do a video on that one. I've been running into a writer's block of sort for video ideas. Flesk Publishing, I think so. It was a weird publisher because it was I think it was a Kickstarter maybe or crowdfunded in some fashion. No, this is from Insight Studios Group, Westminster, Maryland. So, Taylor, how is Incal Dark Ages John Davis Hunt art? Incal Dark Ages. Is that in the... Oh, Dying Star? Is that what you're talking about? This one? I have to say, if this is what you're talking about, because it's got John Davis art, Dan Waters on writing, I did not like this very much at all, which is disappointing. I'm a huge Incal fan, and like the Mobius. I mean, you can see my. I don't know if you can see it right. Oh, it's right underneath the clock. Right there is my Jodorowsky library cube. I have all the libraries and Meta Barons and Techno Priests, and so far they've released the Incal and then Dying Star. And Psychoverse. These were the first two releases that they did. Yes, that. The first two releases they did where Alejandro Jodorowsky was not the writer for them. This one's written by Mark Russell with artwork by Yannick Paquette. And this takes place literally right before the Incal. It's like one of the last scenes is like where the Incal begins. This was really good. Mark Russell's Psychoverse was really good. Dying Star by Dan Waters and John Davis Hunt was not good. I don't know. I'm an easy pleaser too with comics. Like I feel like I grade comics really easily. Like if I read a comic and remotely like it, I'm usually getting a huge kick out of it. I'll give like 4 or 5 stars on Goodreads. But this one is just, I don't know. It just wasn't it. I feel like the story pacing was, I didn't care for it. But Psychoverse I'd recommend. But first though, Lohit, you need to read Meta Barons. Meta Barons is like the bee's knees. Al Williamson inking Daredevil for JRJR was peak Daredevil for me. Yes. And maybe peak JRJR artwork. I'm a huge JRJR fan, and that run is great. And Al Williamson inking him was awesome. That's the Anna Cinti run. I feel you need an all red video. Yes, I do need an all red video. I probably could. One of the video ideas I do have is like all of my insert theme blank comics. So like, and I kind of want to do it once a week where like I'll do all my Mike Allred books. I'll show off all the Mike Allred books I have, or all my, I don't know, Plastic Man, or all my Yodaworski books. And like once a week, I'll show off all of my, because that's how kind of I operate as a collector. If I like one thing, I usually go pretty hard on collecting all of that one thing, whether it be books written by one person or drawn by one person, or books about one character. I kind of have like an obsessive collecting mentality with some of that. Like lately I've been reading Thor, which has been amazing. And I have a video I just did last week on Thor Omnibus Volume 1. I read the material from Omnibus Volume 2, even though it's not in print. But so I had to do that digitally / this epic collection. And now I'm on the 3rd volume of the Omnibus. All right. Yes, that. A video about Bang the Ballad of the Tiger. I would love to do that. I keep forgetting. Like Josh and I talked throughout the week through DMs. I keep forgetting to ask him if there's a way I can purchase a physical copy, because I want a physical copy to show off on my channel. And I do have a video series I do called Cartoonist You Should Know. And I actually had a cartoonist send me his comics last week. And I need to find a way, I usually like to show off like 1 or 2 cartoonists. I prefer to show like multiple cartoonists off per video, but I have done them as for 1 cartoonist. With that said, I would like to do more Cartoonists You Should Know videos. They usually don't do that well in the algorithm of YouTube, but I don't mind that. One of the reasons why I made this channel in the first place was that I wanted to bring people in with like the omnibus reviews, the typical stuff people find on YouTube, but I wanted them to stay for some of the lesser known comics that I like to show off. So I need to do more of that. Those sound fun. Do that. Oh, like all my blank videos. I'm the same. When I find something I like, here we go. DH McAdams, thanks for joining me. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's like Jack Kirby, Chris Ware, like all my favorite cartoonists. Alan Moore, my favorite writer. Like anything I find of those guys, when I find like one cartoonist or one artist I like, I want everything that person has ever done. It's kind of how I operate. So we haven't got it. Well, we did go over one news topic, right? We talked about the Chris Ware news. Let me see what I have on my docket here. Here we go. Let me go to twitter.com, aka x.com, whatever the heck that means. I love that usually when something changes the name of it, people like will jump on board. Like the overall lexicon of community, people will jump on board with the name changes. But it really seems like people are really fighting against this X thing with Twitter, and people still refer to it as Twitter, which I think is funny because it was stupid to change the name anyways. All right. So this breaking news. I need some drops. Breaking news. It's coming from Robert Liefeld. All right, here we go. Let me see. Make sure it's showing up on the screen. Okay. Is my second screen behind? Oh no, here it is. It's coming up. There we go. All right. So Rob Liefeld, legend, one of the 7 founding fathers of Image Comics. Wow, he's on Twitter a lot, so I need to scroll down here. So this is a little bit of where is this, Rob? I was going to actually talk about this last week because he teased it, but now there's even more news. So he teased this last week, and it says Rob Liefeld, Last Blood, #1, and you can't see any characters on it. It's a blank cover. That's all he released. Who does that say on the title credits there? I hate that I can't zoom in on my computer screen whenever it's on social media. Let me get to But this is a new comic series that he's teasing, and he's got a really interesting way that he's releasing it, or at least initially releasing it. Okay, here we go. The other credits are J. David Ramos, Juan Rodriguez, Ed Tadeo, and Russ Wooten. Oh, Russ Wooten on lettering. That's nice. This is Last Blood #1. It's coming this week. It's available exclusively through Rob Liefeld's Whatnot live stream, which he sells a lot of stuff on Whatnot, if you weren't aware. Which I think is just like I've never watched a Whatnot, or I've never participated. Let me know in the comments if you have and how it works. But I think I think it's just like a live stream where they do kind of an auction type deal. So it's like a live auction through video. I think that's how it works. But he's going to be selling 50 unsigned copies and 50 signed copies. They'll be available at launch with this cover. Various variant covers will be available as well. 28 brand new full color pages of story and art by me. That's Rob Liefeld. Preview pages of issue 2 featured in the back. Follow me on Whatnot to be notified. So there's been a lot of speculation of what this means, what character this is, what story this is, what the heck is Rob talking about? So I did. Oh, there is another logo treatment too, because again, he's not letting anybody know what characters. He's not showing any characters. People keep asking him like, "What does this mean? Can you give us a synopsis of the story?" And says, "No. The only thing you got is these 50 unsigned and 50 signed copies that'll be available on my Whatnot." Sorry for the visual here. I'm just scrolling through his freaking Twitter feed to see where the other logo is. Man, he is so active on Twitter. And I like Rob Liefeld, I should say. Well, I'm trying to find this. I'm a Rob Liefeld apologist. I enjoy his work quite a bit. There it is. This was the other logo treatment he released. This was last week, and it's exactly a week ago. It is Rob Liefeld, Last Blood. There was some speculation that this has something to do with Youngblood. He did say okay. There was some like cryptic tweet that he had where he said like, yes, finally it's happening. It was just a matter of time. I don't know. Some cryptic tweet where it's like, just a matter of time. Or it's like something that people are speculating that maybe he has the rights to Youngblood back. Because that was a big controversy a couple years ago that he had actually lost the rights to all of his Youngblood characters, which just doesn't mean all of the characters that he created for Image. Because I think Blood Wolf he still has access to, and Prophet he still has access to, even though Prophet debuted in Youngblood. I think it's just the Youngblood team and the Youngblood name. So there's speculation that maybe he got that back, which would be good for him. I mean, it sucks it's anytime you see a cartoonist lose the rights to something they create, especially when you're creating it as a creator-owned property. So I'd be happy for him in that regard. But also, there's also speculation that this is going to be like a Last Ronin story. So we had like TMNT Last Ronin last year, that maybe this is a Youngblood story. Last Blood, maybe the last remaining Youngblood member in the future. Which, yeah, you could say like, oh, he's just, stealing the ideas from Last Ronin, but Last Ronin in itself was stealing it from The Dark Knight Returns. So I don't know that we could be too mad at Rob for that. I think you have to go back to Frank Miller if you want to get mad about that. But which I love that about TMNT. Just a little sidebar that TMNT was originally created as like a parody, spoof, homage, love letter to Frank Miller's Daredevil, and then Last Ronin, which is like supposed to be the last TMNT story, is a love letter, homage, parody, etc. of etc. I said that with a Spanish accent of The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller. So it's kind of cool that Frank Miller is oh, thank you, Josh. Josh just shared me his Big Cartel. Why don't I share it with the class? Josh is sending me private messages in the middle of the stream, in the middle of class. Why don't I just share that with the class? Which I'm being facetious here, but I do want to share this though. So this is greathousebigcartel.com. Here we go. All right. Present, share screen. Let's share the notes that Josh is sharing me with the class. This is Josh Greathouse, who's frequently in the chat, which I appreciate on my live streams. And this is his comic, Bang, the Ballad of the Tiger. $16 here for 100 pages, full color, 5x7, so it's like a mini comic sized. And I love Josh's artwork. I really do need to show this off. So Josh, I will make this purchase and pick this up and show it off on my channel. A fantasy battle comic playing off the sword and sorcery genre with a girl wearing a silly hat and using kung fu. Instead of a guy with a sword, a girl with a boot. Bang did not sign up for this. Neither did young Eddie. Yasmin did. Using her strength and grit, they will discover what it means to be their person in this hard story of monsters, empires, ancient evil, and kung fu. So this is like just a fun fight comic with awesome artwork. And it looks like it's just Josh playing with all of the different genres and archetypes that he enjoys himself, I'm assuming. So you can purchase that there. That's greathouse.bigcartel.com. I should probably post. Why don't I just post the link? Post the link in the chat. Does it work that way? Is that clickable now, that link? I don't know. But there's the link. Thank you, Josh, for sharing that, though. And I'll make that purchase, and I'll show it off on Cartoonists You Should Know. Who else is here? What else does anybody else have to say about things? Oh, Lalabar. Sorry if I is that an I? I'm sorry, I can't see. But hello, hi from Spain. I like your channel. Thank you. I really do appreciate that. Hopefully, I didn't butcher your name. Oh, and then we have another one. John George Peppers, pour one out to Opticomics on Whatnot. DC Omnis on the cheap. Oh, Opticomics is a seller on Whatnot, and they have cheap DC Omni. See, it's one of the reasons why I kind of avoided Whatnot, because I feel like it might send me down a rabbit hole of spending money, and I don't know that I should do that. Should I? No, I'll check that out though. Opticomics. That's another thing too. Is like I don't know which channels to follow. Which ones are the good ones? I know they always say like auctions start at 1 penny. Obviously, I assume that you're probably not going to get too many good deals. Although I did know my friend Jake from Brave and the Boys. Shout out to him. I showed up on his channel last week. So if you go to Brave and the Boys YouTube channel, go to his live tab, and you can check out his channel where we talked about. He asked me a lot of questions about my comic book reading experience, my history, and even got into some discussions with my history with debating some comic skaters, which was interesting. Something I don't talk about on this channel. So go check that out. But Jake from Brave and the Boys said he got the Incal slipcase, like the supersized slipcase, for like $20 on Whatnot. Bold move. Are you talking about me sharing your note in class? Good evening from England, Coley. Hello, how are you doing? Go eat your bread and beans, Coley. Great house greater than Liefeld? Possibly. Even though my first time I tabled, I was the start of his line and J. Scott Campbell. Oh, really? So were you like next door to him? Like the table next to him? Did you talk to Rob at all? He seems like he's pretty popular at these cons, so it doesn't seem like he has too much time to talk to people that are even in his line. Or maybe he doesn't want to. I don't know. Also, you don't need a Whatnot account to buy Josh's book. That's true. That's true. Thank you for sharing it. Liefeld is either the best or worst plan for this Whatnot. Oh, yeah. What I assume, though, I would love to get a copy. If somebody can get me a copy of Last Blood from his Whatnot account, I will. I'd be grateful. I would love a copy of this because I want to try it out. I want to see what this is. He put out a book. Liefeld put out a new story last year called Airborne, but it was like HEIR born. Let me see if I can find that. Airborne, and it was a backup strip that appeared in the back of, they like reprinted Prophet #1. Let me share my screen here. Present, share screen, Airborne. And this is supposed to be his like Superman archetype. Why am I not 100%? There we go. Was this Airborne character that appeared as a backup strip in Prophet #1. And it was good. It was pretty good. I liked the start of it, but we've not heard or seen anything from this ever since. This Airborne character. But he said he's like planning this huge thing. Oh, sorry, it's Brigade #1. It was the reprint of Brigade. And it only went through one printing. First appearance of Airborne. He hyped it up. I joked around with people that this is going to be a key issue because Tom Cruise is going to star in this movie. Because if you didn't know, Rob Liefeld's like obsessed with Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is like the greatest actor in the history of movies and film and cinema, according to Rob Liefeld. I think he went and saw Top Gun #2 like 27 times in theaters. I don't know. I felt like every day on Twitter, he was like, saw Top Gun again for the 18th time. Saw again for the 19th time. But anyways, Airborne was his last thing that he started. This Last Blood thing seems to be a new one. Earlier this year, too, like when the year kicked off, when 2024 kicked off, he tweeted about like big things coming from Rob Liefeld this year, a whole new universe or something. He was vague about it, so I don't know if Airborne and Last Blood are in the same universe. Who knows? But yeah, this plan though that he has for this Whatnot release, I assume though that this is just a exclusive for the first 100 copies, and like a second printing will probably go through distributors. I'm assuming. Debating comic skaters, that sounds pointless and frustrating. That's why I've retired, Comic Crack. I've retired from that art. No, it is silly and frustrating, pointless, frustrating. Whatever you said there. It was an earlier time in my life, a couple years ago. But yes, it was. I don't do that anymore. I retired. It was pointless. That looks fun, Josh. No shipping to Sweden though. I thought I would sell things. I was nowhere near them. Just everyone blocked by my table. Oh, that sucks. Just everyone blocked my table to get signed. Okay. No shipping to Sweden? Are you on Discord? I can ship anywhere, just cost. I'm the guy that ships all the books. No, not now. Yeah, probably a bit pricey to ship. Space Monkey, Josh, you can figure that out. All right, what's next on the news? I didn't have a lot of news this week, but there are some things. That's the new TMNT. Where's IGN? IGN, TMNT, Jason Aaron. The new Jason. We talked about this last week or the week before. I forget. But IGN had the exclusive on who the artist will be for Jason Aaron's TMNT run. So this is because it was one of those like press releases that IDW gave to IGN. Like the day before, IDW kept saying, "Stay tuned, check out IGN on Twitter. You're not going to want to miss this." So it's one of those times that like a publisher will hand the exclusive to a news entity. I do think Bleeding Cool jumped everybody in line and had the exclusive drop on the fact that Jason Aaron was a new writer. I don't think anyone else had that ahead of them, so I don't know if that was supposed to be in a big release. But Bleeding Cool released that the day before. It was the day before IDW had the press release. Anyways, so the biggest names in comics are joining forces for the TMNT era. You can see some sample artwork here. Who are these artists? Well, let's get to it. Let's get to the news. That's what we do here. IDW is publishing a very ambitious plans for a TMNT franchise in 2024. This summer, IDW is relaunching their long-running monthly TMNT series with a new #1 issue. That's something I talked about last week that I hate. I don't understand why they'd renumber it to #1. I think this entire push, this entire press release, since it's not a reboot, it's just a relaunch, this entire push in the press, I'm sorry, I'm popping my peas in the mic. That's bad etiquette. With Jason Aaron as a writer, with all these artists on board, they're making a massive push for this. You could do the same effort, same push, labeling it issue number 151 and probably sell just as many copies. That's just my opinion. And Todd McFarlane agrees with me. He'll back me up. So this is how they're going to release these, though. IGN can exclusively reveal the artists involved with the new series. Raphael Albuquerque, Joel Jones, Cliff Chang, and Chris Burnham. That is a heck of a lineup. Each of these artists will illustrate one of the first 4 issues of the relaunched TMNT series, with Albuquerque then drawing the second story arc. Check out the slideshow gallery below to see cover art for the first 4 issues of the new TMNT comic, and then read on to see more of each artist. So let's look at this slideshow, shall we? It is name. Hold on. Because each of the first 4 issues is going to feature one of the turtles. Where's that at? I know it mentioned that in here. Oh, here we go. Raphael by Joel Jones. That's going to be issue number 1. See an awesome looking Raph there, looking like a badass. Joel Jones and Jason Aaron on that one. July 2024. Then Michelangelo will be by Raphael Albuquerque. Awesome image there. Raphael Albuquerque. What else has he done? I know he did. Didn't he do American Vampire? That's like the big series he worked on. But I know he's done other things. Let me know in the chat. Where do you know Albuquerque from? But yeah, that'll be issue number 2. It'll be focused on Michelangelo. That's August 2024. And then in September, we'll get Cliff Chang doing Leonardo. Cliff Chang is an amazing artist. He's done runs on Wonder Woman. And he most recently did Catwoman Lonely City, which was getting big praise last year. He wrote and drew that one. So that one's going to be cool. And then number 4, Donatello by Chris Burnham. I love Chris Burnham's artwork. He did, he's most recently, I think he worked on Doom Patrol, which I want to read so badly. I flipped through issues at my comic book shop one time, and I was like, man, I can't wait till this gets collected. I almost picked up the issues right then and there. But Chris Burnham also worked on, was it Nameless by Grant Morrison? I think it's the most recent series that I read from him. Yeah, Nameless. I read that last year, and Chris Burnham's artwork was absolutely amazing. He has this like, some people call it a deadline or a clear line, the clear ligne, or ligne clear, they call it in French, where you only have like one line weight, so you don't use like heavier line weights for certain things. You just have one line weight throughout. It's something that Mobius did a lot too, and I really like Chris Burnham's artwork when he does that. So I'm excited about all 4 of those artists and kind of this relaunch. I will admit though, I've read every TMNT series in existence except for this one. I'm way behind on the IDW stuff. It's already got, I mean, they're gonna be 150 issues before I catch up, but I thought about getting those hardcovers. I thought about reading digitally. They have been releasing new thick trades that I thought about getting that mirror the exact contents of the hardcovers. I don't know. Maybe I should pick up on it though. I love TMNT. Loved it as a kid. I still have my action figures that my son plays with now. I absolutely loved the classic series by Eastwood and Laird. I have all 6 hardcovers of that in the Ultimate Collections, which I have a video on that. It's one of my most popular videos. I swear every month that video has like 400 more views on it. And I'm like, I'm just like flabbergasted. Maybe I need to do more TMNT content. Maybe that's what that's telling me. Maybe that's what YouTube's asking for. But I also love the actually have it right here. This one's really fun. Urban Legends. This series started off with Image back when Eric Larson kind of took over the publishing comic book rights of Team. He didn't own it, but he had the publishing rights or the license for it. And this lasted, I think the original run lasted 20 issues, but then when IDW picked up TMNT, they reprinted them in single issues in color for the first time, and then had was it Gary Carlson? Is that the main guy, the writer? Yeah, Gary Carlson and Frank Fosco finished the series with 6 issues. I think it's 26 issues, but it's a blast. Like, you can just look at the cover and see the kind of craziness happens. Like, you see Raphael over here is wearing like Casey Jones' mask. Donatello is like half cyborg turtle. I don't want to spoil how that happens, but it's amazing. It's brutal, it's violent, and there's stakes involved, like permanent, long-lasting stakes. It's not like your typical licensed property where like DC will do a TMNT Batman crossover, and as fun as it can be, you know, James Tynion is a great writer, but you still know in the back of your head, like, nobody's going to die. There's going to be no permanent ramifications or effects for the story, even if it's an Elseworlds thing. But that was like, no, like they went balls out. Great stuff. And that also led to the crossover in Savage Dragon with TMNT. So that's a lot of fun. But what are you guys saying in the chat? What do you guys think about this TMNT news? It's on Webtoon for free. Okay, there we go. That's also a plug I should put in there. If you want to read Josh's Bang the Ballad of the Tiger, it's also on Webtoon for free. So what's the link for that? I'm sure I can, if I search Webtoon Bang Ballad Tiger, let me see if that pops up. It does. Look at that. You have good SEO scores, Josh. Let me share that in the chat. I don't know if these links are clickable, but there's that link that it came up on Google. So if you want to read that for free, if that sounded like a cool series, Bang the Ballad of the Tiger from Josh Greathouse in the chat here. So check that out. Hyped to see Cliff Chang do an issue. I know that's really cool. Like, they got some cool artists, some big name artists too. Pretty great lineup. Cliff Chang, a fun choice. Which, I mean, to get those art, like, you're kind of taking what Skybound did with Transformers by getting like Dana Warren Johnson. Like, you get a big name artist on a new launching or relaunch or whatever of a licensed property, you're gonna get people interested. Although I heard there was some discourse on the internet of some Transformers fans, like people that are Transformers fans first, comic fans second, that did not like Dana Warren Johnson's artwork. They called it like sloppy and messy. Which just annoys me. I don't understand that mentality. But I guess if you're a Transformers fan, you're gonna want things to look on model and polished and, you know, like photographic, I guess, static. You're gonna want it to look the same as all your other Transformers properties, but the energy and life that Dana Warren Johnson injects into his artwork, especially for that series and all of his series, I want that to be injected into all comics. And I love stylized artwork, so I don't understand that. I don't understand anyone saying that Dana Warren Johnson is anything but great. He's one of the best going today, in my opinion. But that's also a fact, because I don't understand any other alternate opinion. I'm just kidding, sort of. I really have one continuing artist. I think Conan was smarter. Well, I think it's just for the launch, because Albuquerque looks like he's going to taking over as the continuing artist. I don't know forever. It only says second arc, so it could have a new artist after that. I do wish they would plan these out, though. I kind of wish, like, my dream, if I was editor-in-chief of a major publisher like Marvel, but I would have, like, especially if you're like relaunching a new series. Let's say a big major Spider-Man run just ended. So you're trying to gear up for the next run on Spider-Man. I would have it planned ahead to where, like, you take a couple months off, let the writer catch up and write like the first like 15 issues, let's say, of Spider-Man. Well, you can't have not, and I understand you can't have no Spider-Man stuff on the racks. So then you could do some Elseworld stuff, maybe have some fun cartoonists do it and come in and do some miniseries or whatever, to keep the Spider-Man stuff on the racks. You can't have them off the racks for months as you're planning this out. And I would have at least one artist dedicated to each story arc. So if you're doing like 6-issue story arcs, have one artist start working on that from the get-go, have a few months to catch up, so you can release that monthly, and then have a new artist jump on for the next arc if they can't keep it monthly, and just keep it rolling that way. At least each arc has a different theme of artist. Obviously, the preference would be to have one artist on the entire thing. So if you give them a couple months off and you let them catch up, they can do that maybe and keep that monthly schedule. But just like some ideas like that would be interesting to, rather than what they seem to do, which is like, we have to put Spider-Man out monthly. If you can't keep up, let's do every other issue, a different artist. And then you get like this haphazard, like inconsistent nonsense. Or when they go like, I want to do Spider-Man weekly, so we need artists that can keep up monthly. We'll have 4 different, I don't know. I just don't understand that. Hey, Terrence, fancy seeing you here. Rosa should be happy with the TMNT artist lineup. It's really small font. Maybe I need new glasses. I think she's going to be very excited about it. I think I'm going to jump on it as well. I'm with you. I love Burnham. Yes, Burnham is super underrated. Nameless is incredible. Yes, and I love Morrison. Like, my favorite Morrison comics are when he gets weird, or when they get weird. Like, the weirder a Grant Morrison comic is, the better. Which I think I told this on the show. I wasn't a big fan of Morrison's JLA run. It just seemed like too normal and like average superhero stuff. It wasn't bad. It was good superhero comics. It was just like a letdown. But Morrison, like Animal Man, Doom Patrol, Invisibles, Nameless, the Green Lantern run with Liam Sharp was amazing. But that's the Morrison I love, is when they're just pushing the boundaries of what even a normal human brain can understand. So Nameless, I read that from my library last year, and I loved it. Admittedly, I don't think I picked up on everything that Morrison's trying to put down. But like Burnham's artwork like held it together for me. But I need to buy Nameless, and it's one of those books that warrants rereading. So I think every time you read it, you'll pick up more on it, which are my favorite kind of comics. I love comics that warrant rereading, because one, it's a valuable thing to have in your collection. You can pick it up and read it multiple times and enjoy it. But two, like, I just love that discovery aspect of comics. Nameless was so entertaining. Nameless City was amazing. Want more all in one from him. Oh, sorry, Lonely City. Cliff Chang's Lonely City. I need to pick that up still. But it did look brilliant. And I like that he wrote and drew it. I had a year of DC events read. I like this. Okay. Quite a lot to take in with Crisis on Infinite Earths, Death and Return of Superman, Infinite Crisis, 52, Batman by Morrison, and Final Crisis. That is a lot. I love your next question, Fred. So I wanted, in my life, I want to do a big DC events readathon, which seems like what you did. But like Omar over at Near Mint Condition has a great video on his channel where it's all the DC events in order. And I kind of want to follow that reading order and read every single DC event and pick up on it. I actually started this a couple years ago. And admittedly, I don't have a lot of DC reading experience. I always grew up in more of a Marvel head, but DC is one that I've been tapping into a lot the last couple years, especially like last year I read Flash. Like I read a ton of Flash. I read Silver Age Flash, New 52 Flash, Jeremy Adams Flash. I read just a ton of different Flash, all different eras. And I realized that he was intersecting with a lot of those events. Like Flash has a lot of impact on a lot of those modern events. So I think I want to, and this year I'm doing Green Lantern. I'm reading a bunch of different Green Lantern from all different eras. So I think after a few years of this, like next year I might do Wonder Woman, I might do Superman. After a few years of that, I might do the big event readathon, and I think I'd really truly appreciate all of the DC universe in that way. But Fred's next question, after that, going into Fourth World by Kirby and Multiversity, thoughts on those two series? Prerequisites. I have a Fourth World reading order on my channel. That's also one way I kind of attack the DC universe is like I find a corner of it and I fall in love with something of it, and then I go through it all. So Fourth World is something that I've read like the majority of all that stuff on that reading order. And then also Legion of Superheroes is another kind of corner of the DC universe that I've read a bunch of because I love that too. But The Fourth World by Jack Kirby is absolutely amazing. It's a must read. I've read it multiple times. Josh Greathouse wants to do a video with me on it, and I just need to reread it first to make sure it's fresh in my mind. Prerequisites, there are no prerequisites for Fourth World by Kirby. It's totally fresh universe, totally fresh characters. Everything's brand new. You don't need to know anything going into it. However, I will say, if you're reading it, and if you're reading it in the order that's mapped out in like the absolutes or the omnibus, where like it's like chronological of how the issues were actually issued, back in the day, where it's like one issue of like Superman Pals Jimmy Olsen, and then an issue of Forever People, and then an issue of New Gods, and then an issue of Mr. Miracle, and so on. Then I always advise people, if you're stuck on the Superman Pals Jimmy Olsen issues, maybe skip those for your first read through and just read only Forever People, New Gods, and Mr. Miracle. That's the only caveat I give people, because I love those Superman's Pal Jimmy Olsen issues. I really do. The first couple of them really do kind of impact the Fourth World a little bit in a minuscule amount. Like the very end of certain issues, like Darkseid's first appearance ever in comics is in a panel at the end of one of those issues. However, as the run goes, because I think, Kirby did 11 issues of Superman's Pal Jimmy Olsen, 11 issues of New Gods, 11 issues of Forever People, and then 18 of Mr. Miracle. That's the only one that didn't get canceled until 18. But by the end of that run of Superman's Pal Jimmy Olsen, it really becomes its own thing. I do like it, but I do love that. All right, are you still with me? Sorry, I'm back. Sorry if you some insane two switches. Sorry if you missed out. I didn't want to. I stopped my rant, so you didn't miss anything. Once I saw my screen go black, I stopped talking, so you didn't miss anything. So what Jack Kirby did with no, maybe yes, you're back. Okay. What he did with Jimmy Olsen was he took him and made him like kind of like a Indiana Jones archaeologist character, where he is kind of like going through and discovering the Fourth World kind of things. This was kind of the idea that Kirby had for Jimmy Olsen, which is amazing and cool and fun. But if you're trying to read Fourth World, because it can be kind of slow at first, if you're trying to read it and those issues in particular are slowing you down, just skip them and move on to the New Gods, Forever People, and Mr. Miracle. My pitch though for it is that like Jack Kirby truly had this vision. I love Jack Kirby's comics. Jack Kirby is the GOAT of comics. It's not even close. There's not one person in comics history that is even close to what Jack Kirby did. He had like 3 Hall of Fame careers in one. But he had this vision when he went to DC. He was all, amped up and jacked and ready to go, because he wanted to prove that all of the ideas that came through Marvel Silver Age were his and not Stan Lee's. And, whether or not I agree with that, that's another channel or another episode for another day. But that's what his mentality was. And he wanted to go to DC and prove it by coming up with this huge drawn out universe. And this guy was just exploding with imagination. I don't know how he kept it all in. There's reports that Mark Evanier, who was one of um, kind of an assistant a little bit on the Fourth World stuff. Like he didn't draw anything, but he was just like this kid that was a big fan of Kirby. And there's another guy too. I forget his name. Mark Evanier and someone else. But they would like visit Kirby while he's drawing his pages and or while Kirby was eating lunch and Kirby would be bouncing ideas off of them and whatnot. And they were just like, and Mark just talked about how stunned he was that Jack didn't have this written down, didn't map this out on paper, didn't have like a web of ideas with like how all these ideas are connected. It was literally just a guy just putting pencil to paper and just exploding with these ideas as he went on. Absolutely amazing. And when you take it from that effect and you're reading Fourth World and you're seeing that this guy's coming up with all these ideas, like page after page of new ideas introduced, like the boombox, the source wall, like all these things are being introduced. Can you hear me? I'm on a second screen here. Let me remove that one. Okay, I'm back again. I'm going on these Kirby rants, and StreamYard doesn't like it. There's too much power of Jack Kirby happening to destroy the stream. But yeah, he came up with all these ideas only across like 51 issues, and then on top of that, he did the closing issue and then Hunger Dogs. Just amazing stuff. So I do implore people to read it. I hate having the caveat of like it might be a little slow first, and I hate the caveat of maybe skip these issues because then people are like, well, maybe I shouldn't read it. Trust me, it's definitely a must read for all comics. Great stuff. But it's in Multiversity, I've not read. So back to the original question here that killed my stream. No, Fred, thank you. I've not read Multiversity. I want to get the Absolute and read it. It's definitely something that is on my list of Grant Morrison ideas. It seems like it's high concept, and I need to pick it up. Cycle, thank you. So let me. Now I want to read this. Read what? What am I showing off here? Lonely City? No. Nameless? What are you talking about? I need some context in the comments because I'm so far behind now. Not going to read Last Blood, but might read Jason Aaron TMNT post 150. Okay. The links work. Great. Yes, James, the links work. I need to have James as a moderator so he can post links. What DWJ art is fire? I've read everything in Energon Universe. Yes, I know Lowhit's read everything. And he is anti-Transformers, people. So much of these arguments about love and hate of books just comes down to taste. As much as people want to intellectualize SHIT, it's ultimately about that. Yeah, it is. I mean, I joked when I was like, I was totally joking when I was saying I don't understand people who don't like DWJ. They're wrong. I was being facetious. It is a taste thing, and I get it. Like, especially when you're like brand new to comics, we all remember that feeling. If we're all like, if you're a new comics reader in the chat, you can probably sympathize with this. If you're a veteran comics reader in the chat, you probably remember this. But like when you're a new comics reader, you almost have like this entitled opinion where you're like, I like that stuff, but that stuff looks stupid. And then like later on in your reading, you're like, maybe try that stupid thing, and you're like, what was I thinking back then? Like I should have tried that the whole along. We all have stories like that, right? So that's the only thing I try to implore comics readers to have an open mind about things, to try things out. I try to have an open mind with comics as far as like not like downgrading things just for some like brand like brash opinion on YouTube. I don't want to be like, I never read that thing, and so it must be stupid. I try to not do that, and I want to have an open mind and try everything in comics because there's so much this medium can offer. It's happened to me so often when talking comics when talking comics with people, the stuff they didn't like about a book will most likely be exactly why I loved a book. Yes. I mean, that's true. Like Grant Morrison's a great example. Like there's some people that think I'm crazy and only love the Grant Morrison stuff that's easier to digest, like JLA. Like Coley in the chat earlier, he loved JLA by Morrison, and I hated it. But there was some series by Morrison that Coley hated. What series was that? Oh, it was Batman by Morrison. He hated that one, and I only read the first omnibus so far, but I loved that run. It was good stuff. Editorial at Marvel in 2023 was on drugs. I hope Braver or Cebulski do better in 2024. Ultimate Spidey is a good start, though. Let's see. Yes, trying different things. They should do that. I think that's in reference to my Spider-Man rant. Your dream. That's what Conan doing. They got 2 artists switching. Wow, look at the names in this chat. This is great. Cycle's back. Cycle, thank you for joining me. You joined. Maybe it's Cycle's fault. My internet crashed out on me for a second there. I loved sheer bleakness and darkness and Nameless. Yes. Also agree. I've read it a few times and each one is a little better. Yes. Like that level of like, just like hopelessness and bleak. Like that is like Morrison and Burnham together nailed that feeling on the comics page in Nameless. Absolutely. Like that's the thing I loved about it, is that like emotionally moved you into feeling like, oh, like this bleakness, like hopelessness. So good. The only thing I can think of that also made me feel that way, but the thing coming to my brain right now is Requiem for a Dream, that movie with the Jared Leto movie. I think, is that a Darren Aronofsky film? I talk about how that's like the worst movie I've ever seen. Not from a skill level standpoint, but just because it made me feel, I've never felt so hopeless in my life from watching or reading anything than watching Requiem for a Dream, and I can't watch it ever again. It's like it sent me into places. But that's a testament of how good the movie was. Truly, I just talk about how it's the worst because it like made me feel that way. So don't turn the channel off just because I said that. Failed me a cycle. Crisis on Infinite Earths and Infinite Crisis are legit best events. Yes, I'm going to get to those one day. I've read the first half of Crisis on Infinite Earths a couple of times, and both times I was just like, I don't think I've read enough DC for this, and I think I need to read more to appreciate it. And then Infinite Crisis, I'll get to. I just want to read, and I don't want to do like in this like succession where I read like every issue of Flash, every issue of Batman to build up to Infinite Crisis. I just want to at least get it enough bearing that I'll appreciate what's going on in it. Fred, for Fourth World, I recommend Superman Animated, JL and JLU. Oh, those characters appear in there. I wonder if Sonny Liu is working on another big book. Why are you wondering that? I need more context. I'd like to read more about that. Cycle, do you see the news about Chris Ware? Chris Ware, where did I just put that? Oh, here it is. That there's going to be an Acme Novelty Date Book Volume 3 coming out by Drawn and Quarterly with the slipcase. Did you see that news? I talked about it earlier here. You missed out on it. Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen has some insane 2-page spreads. The whole Fourth World does. That's my favorite thing about Jack Kirby in the 70s. I'm going to go on Jack Kirby rant. Hopefully my internet doesn't crap out. One of my favorite Kirby gimmicks of the 70s, which is my favorite era of Kirby. I love Kirby's Captain America in the 60s. I love his Fantastic Four. I love Thor. But 70s to me is like when Kirby that's like his magnum opus period, where everything he learned, everything he built in the 30 previous years of comics, he all put on into practice for that era of comics of the 70s. But one of my favorite gimmicks, though, and anytime I read a comic from the 70s, I wait for it, is that you open the comic. It's got a great cover. The first page is a great splash page. Kirby style, Kirby aesthetic, always had great splash pages in the 60s. And then you open to the next page, and it's a 2-page spread. Like, the cover's great, the opening splash is great, but then you open to the 2-page spread. Brilliant. So that if you love those 2-page spreads in Jimmy Olsen and in Fourth World, you got to read more 70s Kirby, Connor, because he did it in Devil Dinosaur. He did it in his Captain America run when he came back in the 70s. He did it in Black Panther when he came back in the 70s. He did it in OMAC in the 70s. So like there's so many more 2-page spreads of Kirby's for you to look forward to if you dive more into the 70s. Mr. Miracle latter issues are much different. Yes, they are. Issue 12 through 18, it becomes more of like a superhero comic book. And also surprisingly, that's where you get the first inklings of the domesticated Big Barda Mr. Miracle aspects. Like it's there. Like those seeds are planted in that run, which then were taken forward and forth when Mr. Miracle had his run in the 70s. I forget who did that run. Blanking on it. It's never been collected, unfortunately. I want that to be collected. It's one of my most wanted DC omnibuses. But also like the domesticated Big Barda and Mr. Miracle come into play in the JLI run by Keith Giffen, J.M. DeMatteis, Kevin McGuire. And then also you get that in the future when Tom King and Mitch Gerrits does their Mr. Miracle Big Barda. So those seeds being planted like the domesticated kind of slice of life Mr. Miracle were planted all the way back in Kirby, and you get most of that in those issues 12 through 18. Is Taylor frozen? Froze. He's back. Nope. Blah, blah, blah. Let's skip through these because I'm back. Sonny Lou isn't a name I've heard in quite some time. Condiment King has thrown some mustard into Taylor's internet router. I hope not. The other hard thing, Kirby created a ton of characters. So there are times you can tell he wanted to use this character but had to change it. Well, that's the thing too, is with Fourth World, I love where this conversation is going. We started the show off with Chris Ware, and we're going into this Kirby rant. I love it. But yeah, and that's the thing too, is that his original vision for Fourth World is that he's going to have his own kind of sector of the DC universe that he was going to oversee and be the editor of. He wanted to be like what people picture Stan Lee of with Marvel. Jack Kirby wanted to be for this new part of DC, where he was like the editor and he drew one book a month, but he was overseeing and maybe writing everything else. Because Mr. Miracle, it was rumored that Steve Ditko was going to take over after a couple issues and go through and do the rest of it, which, I mean, how amazing will that have been? We saw a little bit of what that might look like as far as the transformations of the artwork when we got Machine Man in the 70s, another great Kirby run in the 70s. But Machine Man, who's a character that Jack Kirby created and debuted in 2001, A Space Odyssey, that 10-issue run. He then did, I always forget the number. It's like 9 or 10 issues of Machine Man by Kirby, and then 9 or 10 issues by Steve Ditko directly following. So you kind of see like the transformation of like what this character looks like by Kirby and then Ditko taking over. That's kind of what we would have got with Mr. Miracle. The other names for other artists on the other books were never stated. Kirby never, I don't know if anybody has any knowledge on that, let me know, but Ditko's the only one I heard. But Kirby wanted to just do New Gods himself, I think, and he wanted to have a different artist on the other 3 books. Tezuka is probably closest to Kirby, but yeah, it's tough to find a close comparison given Kirby's sheer output. Yes. Tezuka, I would definitely listen to an argument for, because his output for page count might have surpassed Kirby, but it's a little bit different though, because did Tezuka use assistants? And he also didn't work in color, and also the serialization of, I don't want to get into that. Like they both had a crazy amount of output. I don't want to put like this guy worked harder than that guy. And admittedly, I've read a lot of Tezuka, but not his whole entire catalog. Like Kirby, I've read almost his entire catalog. I think to be fair, I probably read 75% of Kirby's catalog. There's probably some earlier stuff I've not read yet. And then there's some later stuff like Captain Victory I've actually never read. But so I clearly bias in my decision making here. But I think too, I don't want Tezuka definitely, but Kirby, like 3 Hall of Fame careers. Like I said, if you just look at his catalog and what he put out before Fantastic Four #1, that's a Hall of Fame career. He co-created the genre of romance comics. He had this incredible Western comics, these boys gang comics that he maybe created that genre as well. Captain America he created on his own. The Simon and Kirby studio had such a great output. Like that's like a Hall of Fame career in one. Then you look at just what he did with Marvel from 61 through 69. that alone, the amount of characters he created that have gone on to make billion-dollar box office movies in whatever, that is a Hall of Fame career. And then you got what he created with the Fourth World in DC, and then back at Marvel from 71 on. That's another Hall of Fame. That's what I'm talking about. He has 3 Hall of Fame careers. If you just like slice those career paths or career eras of Kirby and isolate them, it's a Hall of Fame career. So 3 Hall of Fame careers. I don't know if you could do something similar to Tezuka. Sucks because he just got running the cancel it. Yeah. Love of Kirby breaking the stream. Might be time to IT crowd this one, Taylor. Too much Kirby. I think I'm back up and running. Taylor's YouTube is getting DDoS'd by EVS acolytes. Will he make it to the end of the stream? I will fight those acolytes. They will not stop me. Not as long as I have this microphone in front of me. Want to read image TMNT? You should. It's so good. It's so much fun. It's bonkers. Like it's violent. It's over the top. And it's crazy. Like it's unlike any other TMNT run you'd read. Open-mindedness is a great ideal to push. I agree. Thank you. It's a healthy idea, except for New Warriors. Can't give Omar that. I totally agree about Requiem for a Dream, and I think I've watched it. I can't watch it. I watched it one time, and that was enough for me. Taylor, have you not seen Superman JL and JLU? I'm not joking. They do have some amazing stories of the Fourth World characters. Stream it. Stream us. Stream it. Stream us. I think it's on the Max. Are those on the Max, or do they take them off? HBO, the Max, HBO Max, whatever it's called. I would like to. I remember I was trying to introduce my son to the Fourth World characters, and we watched. I think I had like a Super Friends DVD that was like, it wasn't. I don't know. It was like a later period. It wasn't Super Friends. It was like a later show in between Super Friends and what you're talking about that had some dark side stories in it. But as far as Superman Adventures, I watched back when I was a kid, and I enjoyed it because they had like the back-to-back hour on Saturday mornings with Batman. But JL and JLU I've not read or not watched. I did see the Chris Ware news a bit before the stream started. They will be selling limited copies of just the box set from what I read. Oh, good. I hope so, because I have volumes 1 and 2, so I just want volume 3 plus the slipcase. I guess it's relevant with the Fourth World talk and it being Taylor's channel. I was thinking recently that Nate Garcia is essentially plugged directly into the source wall. That was you shoehorned that in there. I love the demon, but it should have switch artist and writer for it. Yeah, like that 70s, like it's in that Bronze Age. Where is that? Oh, there it is. This big fat omnibus where it has like all of his other 70s DC stuff. Commandy, that's another great property. But this has like the Demon, Cobra, Spirit World, Losers, Manhunter, OMAC, Sandman, Superpowers. But yeah, the Demon was good. I think my favorite outside of the Fourth World stuff from DC, Kirby, was probably OMAC. I think it's a fun character. Alex Graham, a short time ago, published an article on her Substack giving some of her thoughts and advice and opinions on comics and ended it saying something along the lines of artists should ensure they are continually plugging into the source wall of creativity. Wow. Is Alex Graham a Kirby fan? I would have never guessed. That's awesome. I know Wally Wood was in that line. Oh, yes, probably. Yes, I think I heard that too. Which, can you imagine that? Like, what were we robbed of? Because if Kirby was able to oversee that, and let's say like Wally Wood's doing Forever People, and Ditko's doing Mr. Miracle, and Kirby's doing New Gods, and Kirby's able to just, push all his energy into the writing of the thing, would have been amazing. Yeah, but Wally Wood worked on Kirby he inked his stuff in Sky Masters of the Universe, or Sky Masters of the Space Force, which is really cool. And that's actually got on Zoop. There's a crowdfunder right now for the Sundays of that. But Wally Wood inking Kirby is, people always want to argue like who's their favorite Kirby inker. Wally Wood might be. His inking on Kirby is really, really great. Like the fact, like Wally Wood was amazing in his own right of doing his own like drawing of tech and whatnot. And then Kirby has his signature style of like Kirby tech. Bollywood inking on top of it created like this really beautiful, like serendipitous art style. Ensure they're continually plugging. Oh, I said that. Tezuka did use assistants, but Kirby had inkers. Oh, yes. You're right. That's the difference between manga and Western comics is that manga use assistants, and then American artists have inkers and also colorists that, add to the artwork as well. So I wasn't saying that as like a downplay on Tezuka, but yeah, Kirby rarely inked his own stuff, especially once he got into the 60s and whatnot. Very similar to the concept some may have heard David Lynch talk about in a relationship to the transcendental meditation, where he can supposedly access a sea of creativity much easier. I want to know more about that. Are there YouTube videos about David Lynch talking about that? I'd like to tap into that myself. Yeah, Miyazaki greater than Kurt. Okay, listen. Miyazaki's great, but come on. I think Alex Graham and Nate Garcia are accessing a pure connection straight to the sea of creativity. Tezuka created a lot of genres, Magical Girl, I believe, and helped create anime. All right. That's like I said, Tezuka probably is one of the few people I would argue, let into the argument. But after that, there's no one even close to Kirby. Like, not even close. Not even close. It's like when you look at like Wayne Gretzky stats all time versus anyone like second place, like he's number one and second place is like way down here. I don't know if that's still the case, but it was growing up. I wish Miyazaki did more manga. That's actually I want to read the box set of what's it called? The Miyazaki manga that they did an anime of. I'm drawing a blank here. Miyazaki manga. Someone's gonna let me know. Oh, Nausicaa Valley of the Wind, right? Yes. I need to get that box set. That's something I want to read. There's probably way more on David Lynch's TM than you're willing to watch. I'm willing to take that journey, Cycle. Oh, Comic Crack put in Nausicaa. I'm willing to take that journey. David Lynch is a journey in its own right. The surrealism that you get into. I'm into it. Let me see if I had any other news topics to talk about. Oh, what was that? Okay. I think that's it. Oh, that's probably a topic for another day. There was the all over, like, seems like every news site's jumping on the fact that DC is going to lose the copyright to Superman and Batman because it's going to be public domain in a year or whatever. That's a longer topic. I probably do a whole video on that topic because I think there's a lot of misconceptions about it, and I don't think people quite understand the situation. But we're seeing it happen in real time with like Winnie the Pooh and Mickey Mouse, how now there's like a horror movie for each character ever, and it's just. But yeah, so the same thing's going to happen to Superman and Batman, but like, what does that actually mean? And is anybody actually willing to take on the lawyers of DC to even push that boundary? I don't know. That's just something that it's a longer topic that I'll talk about later, I guess. Thundercats #1. We talked about that last week, I think, or the week before. I can't remember. But Rob Liefeld dropped a cover on it, the aforementioned. But the good news is that Thundercats, which is a property that I'm not particularly super, I don't have an emotional attachment to. I never watched the cartoon as a kid. This just wasn't my thing. But Thundercats #1 by Dynamite is already has 170 plus orders for issue #1 before it's even hit the racks, which is good news for the industry. I'm trying to read the chat. There's probably more on David Lynch. Nausicaa. I haven't read it all, but what I've read is wonderful. Nausicaa rules, better than Kirby, just to make Taylor mad. Grr. It's so good. Get it now. Expands the story in so many ways. I think you would love it. Yes, it was out of print a couple years ago. I think it's back in print now. I need to look, but I think it's back in print. And there's no reason why I haven't picked it up. I need to do it. I need to add it to the list. Do you want to watch a 4-hour explanation of Twin Peaks in the mind of David Lynch? It's actually incredible. It has all this info. Kind of. I feel like I need to rewatch Twin Peaks first, though. Maybe I'll rewatch Twin Peaks and then dive into it. How about that? It's the non-flying Superman. Yeah, there's going to be caveats there because it's only going to be the initial debut of Superman, and you can't have any of the trademarked aspects to him, like the Superman logo's trademarked, so you can't have that on your character. You can't call it Superman on the title of it. You might be able to within the pages. So, and you can't even like get around. You can't use any of the other names that DC. You can't call it like Man of Steel. Like you have to come up with your own name, like Super Human. I guess I don't know what it would be. Phantom news about putting Sacco's book Palestine back into print. That is awesome news. Is that on their website? Fantagraphics is one of my most frequently visited websites. It's always on my whenever, what is it, Chrome. When you first open it, it has like the frequent websites. But I've not looked at this. I've not heard this. Is this on their news section? It's not. I did want to talk about how they are partnered with Lunar Distribution now, though. That was on a previous week, but we didn't get to it. What about the press releases? No? It wasn't a press release either. They haven't put a new catalog out yet, have they? Because I did that video last week where I did a whole Cycle just sent me a link. Is it to David Lynch? Should I share that in class too? I don't know. That's awesome though. Joe Sacco's Palestine getting a new print. We also have that with titles like The Boys. Yeah, Comic Crack. I was following the Sacco discussion. Very stupid stuff. Oh. Did it involve like current events? I can see that. DC is launching an Ultimate Universe type thing. Did you talk about that? Also, it's only OG Superman version that didn't fly. It'll be public domain. There's no news on the Ultimate Universe. That's just rumors right now, right? Like they haven't like done a big press release or anything, have they? Is that what Mark Waid's taking over? There's rumors that Mark Waid and Dan Mora are going to be doing the big event this summer. I think it's launching with Free Comic Book Day. The DC book for Free Comic Book Day just says like big event or summer event or something. And it's like the first issue for that. And it's rumors that it's going to be Mark Waid, Dan Mora, and it's going to be a sequel type series to 0 Hour. Is that what's going to spawn off into the Ultimate type universe? Austin English handled it well on the YouTube post. Didn't watch Thundercats. Oh, Taylor. Sorry. Wasn't my thing. Austin is amazing. Z Romantic Z. Yo, what's up? Hello. Or Z Zomatic Z. How are you doing? Johnny's in the house. Appreciate all the Kirby talk, various rants. Thanks. I could talk about Jack Kirby all day, any day. If I'm ever in a show and you feel like what I'm talking about is boring, bring up a Jack Kirby topic. The usual gang of idiots on Twitter saw another opportunity to gang up. I can see how that would be an obvious thing. More proof that social media is littered with half-wits. Thundercats! Oh, Sword of Omens, bring it on. I don't know what that means. Hope Marvel reprints Devil Dino. I do too. I just don't know that would get a lot of votes in the reprint poll. And it seems like they're only reprinting things that are, I guess they've gone outside of that. But the Near Mick Edition reprint poll for Omnibuses will be coming out in a couple months. And I am working with Omar on that a little bit. You don't have to watch the Twin Peaks video. He makes it easy to listen to. Also, it explains Twin Peaks entirely. I'm getting the Lucio Perillo cover of Thundercats. You should get Rob Liefeld. Are you guys tuning in to the... Is that going to be... Can you watch that later? I don't think I'm going to watch it live. I'm hoping to be there. Cycle? Psycho News is people jumping on to the reprint news as if it's profiting off genocide. Homelander, Superman, the idea of public domain Superman is that big when look at it that way. Isn't that big? Yeah, I agree. Because we've had, I mean, how many different archetypes? I just talked about Rob Liefeld doing Airborne, his own archetype for Superman. Homelander, we've had freaking Irredeemable. Like, we've had so many different stories of that. Of Superman gone bad is usually the one that people play with. What are people actually going to do with the Superman character that's going to have any sort of meaning when it's hit public domain? Like, it's not going to mean anything. It's been in print almost continually for the past 30 years and went out of print October 7th. Oh. Yes, Wade and Morris will stop Shazam post issue 10, and they're doing something big. People never mentioned Gaza or Palestine before 5 months ago are up in arms against the publisher that printed this book 30 years ago. It's almost too stupid to comprehend. Rob Liefeld covered. The sword looks a bit bent to me. That's weird. I don't know, the indie window there. You have to watch the symposium. You can watch it later. Okay, good. Whoa, type the G, cycle, and it didn't show up in the chat. Alpha, Invincible, Goku. Yeah, see, there's so many different iterations of Superman that, like, what is someone going to offer in the public domain that's going to have any impact whatsoever? Batman, I think people would maybe have some more fun with. Like, I know Josh Simmons Batman book. Did I ever show that off? This is where I'm going to close the show. I'm not done yet, but I do want to show this off. This is like the greatest, most beautiful bootleg comic ever. It's Dream of the Bat. It's like so fancy. Josh Simmons and Patrick Keck. I can't show off a lot in here because it's pretty graphic. But this is a bootleg comic of Batman that was published by Mansion House Press, I believe. Was that what they're called? Yeah, the Mansion Press. Let me see if I could show off any pages here. Yeah, I could show off that. So here's a cover page. It's mostly black and white, but here's a color image and then Batman. And it's amazing. It came like this beautiful hardcover with a ribbon, and it came in like this. It's not exactly a slipcase because you can see all the way through it. It's like a slip sleeve, I guess. See, but really beautiful. That's the kind of stuff I can see Batman doing, or people doing Batman with it. So yes, I'm going to go over my plugs and stuff. Everybody keep lighting up the chat, and then I will go through the last bits of the chat after my plugs. So any other questions or comments or anything you want to say before I get out of here, put those in the chat, and I will address those in just a second. But you can follow me on social media. It's all the information is down below in the description. You can follow me on Twitter at TMTalksComics, or you can follow me on any other social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, etc. Follow me at Taylor Talks Comics, and we can talk more comics there. If you're watching this on replay, comment down below. I always get back with the comments if you're watching this on the replay, and I will comment. I will reply to your comments. I have some videos coming out later this week, some pre-recorded stuff. I'll be back next Tuesday night. I'm thinking. Stay tuned on social media and the community tab on YouTube and all that stuff. I'm thinking it's going to be next Tuesday evening for the next episode of Taylor Talks Comics, episode 11. If you have any comic book news items or show ideas or comic books you want me to cover, you can email me at taylortalkspodcasts@gmail.com, taylortalkspodcasts@gmail.com. Remember to shop over at Organic Price Books, OPB, the best place to buy your comics and graphic novels. They have great customer service, and their packaging is exquisite. Your books will be safe when they arrive to your house. Use my promo code Taylor Talks Comics, all one word. Taylor Talks Comics, all one word, and you can save $2 off every order. If you're going to put a bigger order in with OPB, organicpricebooks.com, which will be an order of 4 or more books, Bigger order, bigger savings. Save 5% off your order if you use the promo code TTC. Ship it together, all one word. TTC. Ship it together, all one word. And then let's get to the chat. What do you guys have to say before we get out of here? Dun, 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 dun. Let me get to the last bit. The things YouTube auto censors is hard to comprehend sometimes. Oh, I can see the word. That is dope. There are 2 of the messages he showed that didn't show up for me in the chat. Oh. Interesting. I'm shocked DC didn't go after this. I know. I don't know if Mansion Press is like Josh and Patrick Keck, I think are just American guys. But Mansion Press is like a French publisher. I don't know if that's how they kind of got around it. But it's not called Batman. It's just the Bat. The character is named the Bat in the actual comic itself. I don't know if DC has gone after them. If not, though, that's kind of why I bought it immediately too, because I didn't know how long they're gonna have these in print. Sometimes it auto censors things I typed in a longer comment, but the exact same things in multiple shorter comments aren't censored. It's those AI bots. They're not super bright. Love that Bat book. Me too. That's interesting because they're still in the chat even after exiting and re-entering. Which okay, Cycle's trying to figure out what YouTube censors. Cliff, I will fantasy football you for that book. Question mark. Do I know you? Have we played fantasy football before, or are you just challenging me? I am actually retired from fantasy football. I must say, I'm officially retired. I did play this last season only because my son wanted to play, but he even towards the end of the year wasn't getting too much into it. So I think I might be officially retired. But we can maybe some other challenge. I don't know. Play one-on-one basketball. Probably not a good idea for me. I'm in Canada, so that's hard on our end. So maybe it's on our end. Oh, the censoring. It's nefarious that YouTube allows you to see the comment posted as if it went through even when it censors them. That might have something to do with StreamYard. Because Fred says bye. Because StreamYard isn't affiliated with YouTube. I think they just like YouTube allows their service kind of thing. So StreamYard might allow the comments, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. It's probably a StreamYard thing, though. Thanks for a great stream. I have Simon's Orion and FF3 Omnibus with CGN. Put it in the second and haven't shipped. Womp womp. Simon's Orion? Like the Omnibus or the trade paperbacks? And FF3. Those are good books. I don't know if social media is littered with half-wits. I think it's just a bigger light on the fact that a lot of people have always been stupid. The concept Carlin was certainly George Carlin, man, true genius. 1, 2, the 1 and 2 of my word comment. That's dope. That's too funny. Like the first issue, Bang. Oh, Space Monkey's been reading Bang while we're doing the chat. Ethan. Oh, Ethan Tyler. Ethan Tyler. Is that who you are? I think I know who you're talking about. Thanks for joining me, though. It's so cool to see you in here. Thanks. Working on chapter 19 now. Canada rules, but comics are expensive. Peace. Taylor retired from fantasy football after injuring his tendon in his thumb. No, it was really just my brain was injured. Is what happened. Volume 1 trade. Oh, of Orion. I don't know, but who is responsible for how the auto censor works and shows up? It's ubiquitous throughout all different live streams, even with bigger channels. I don't know, man. I don't know. But thank you guys all for joining me. I appreciate you being here. We'll be back next week. Subscribe if you haven't already. Give the video a thumbs up. All that stuff. Comment down below. Share it with your friends. It's the number one way you can support me. Share the video with your friends. Doesn't cost you a dime. Just a little bit of your time. And on that note, have a great day.